Live from Washington, D.C. on Constitution Avenue, welcome to the National Memorial Day Parade. Please welcome the 340-voice Memorial Day Festival Chorus under the direction of Cindy Petty. It's an annual tradition from Washington, D.C., the American Veterans Center's National Memorial Day Parade, with Grand Marshals, acclaimed documentary filmmakers Ken Burns and Lynn Novick, and a special tribute to the 70th anniversary of the U.S. Air Force, featuring 15th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers, and honorary Grand Marshals, the heroes of World War II, as we commemorate the 75th anniversary of the war. With special guests, Joe Mantegna, celebrity chef and Royal Navy veteran Robert Irvine, Miss America 2017 Savvy Shields, plus hundreds of decorated veterans and active duty personnel. With performances by Grammy-nominated rock group Daughtry, John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, Nashville recording artist Tom Dixon, and the USO Show Troupe. Plus, special Memorial Day moments from Trace Adkins, Jason Aldean, Dierks Bentley, Jack Black, Toby Keith, Reba McEntire, Conan O'Brien, Kid Rock, Ray Romano. Special correspondent, Miss America 2008, Kirsten Haglund. And now, please welcome your hosts, Jonathan Elias and Rita Cosby.
Good afternoon from Washington, D.C. for the American Veterans Center National Memorial Day Parade. Good to have you along. I'm Jonathan Elias.
And I'm Rita Cosby, daughter of a World War II POW saved by U.S. troops. It's an honor to be back with you again this year. We would like to welcome all of our viewers joining us today, watching nationwide and across the globe. We would also like to welcome our service members watching around the world on American Forces Network and with our online partners at YouTube and military.com.
Couldn't have asked for a better day to have this parade. From the American Revolution to the current generation that has served in Iraq and Afghanistan, today's parade will include special tributes to the Americans who have served and sacrificed throughout our country's history.
And to help us with today's coverage, Stateside is someone who joins us every year. We're lucky to have her, former Miss America, Kirsten Haglund. Hello, Kirsten.
Hello, Rita, and hello, everyone. Welcome to Constitution Avenue. It's my 6th year here. I couldn't be more pleased. I'm going to be giving you coverage throughout the route, as well as talking to some very special guests throughout the broadcast. Back to you, Jonathan and Rita.
All right, thanks so much, Kristen. And now it is time to have a parade.
It sure is. And what better way is joining us now, the star of stage, screen, and television, Joe Mantegna, and also a true American hero, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Friend, pilot with the legendary Tuskegee Airmen in World War II. What a privilege to have you here, gentlemen.
Let's start with you, Colonel, if you don't mind me asking. The Tuskegee Airmen, what does it mean to you being here to represent them? Especially, these are amazing pilots that had to fight so hard just to get into the fight, and when they did, they proved what they were worth.
Well, I think that the way to look at things is that you can do the right thing wrong, but you can't do the wrong thing right.
Good way to put it.
And in this particular instance, I think that they were attempting to do it the right thing, but they failed for a long time. But we're in the midst now of beautiful adjustments to what should have been at the time that it was initiated.
Well, Colonel, it's an
But
honor to have you here.
the flying part was exciting. I don't know how to explain to you how great it feels to be up there.
Well,
it's good having you
Colonel,
here.
it's an honor to
Thank
have
you.
you here. And Joe Montana, to sit next to a true hero like this.
Oh.
You love Memorial Day. Why is it the most special day for you? You
Well,
said that.
the man sitting next to me is a big part of it, I tell you that. I've known Colonel Friend for about 4 or 5 years now. I've been doing this concert here on the West Mall of the Capitol for the last 16 years. Memorial Day is special to me because I have a very blessed life. I mean, I fulfilled my dream, and the reason I've been able to fulfill my dream is because men like Colonel Friend, the military throughout our history, from the Revolutionary War to today, have sacrificed their limbs and their lives so that we can live in this country. We're having this parade today. We're celebrating, but we can't forget that many people laid down their lives so we would have this freedom to do that. So for me, Memorial Day is our most important holiday, and I'm just so proud to be here today, proud to be next to a gentleman like this who represents the generations of men and women who have served this country.
And if you're not familiar with the accomplishments of the Tuskegee Airmen, you really should go seek it out. There was a movie made. There's a lot of history about it. They were an amazing unit, and once you were up flying escort, you never lost one of the planes you were escorting in, one of the bombers, which is an amazing feat in itself. He's having a hard time here. That's
Yeah,
okay.
never. By the way, Joe, you real briefly, your family has a history too. Your family has a great
5
military
uncles that
history.
served.
Yes, I had 5 uncles that all served in World War II. My father was hospitalized with tuberculosis through the entire war. So these 5 men, 5 combat veterans, were very instrumental in my life, and so I certainly have a personal stake in it. And
Thank you for your service, and Colonel Friend, an honor to have you here.
Thank you guys very much for being here.
to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What an honor to have him
In the
here.
height of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln said that when that war was over, everyone was going to want to live in America. And how right he was.
I
How
appreciate
right.
it. Thanks so
and
much.
everybody,
Colonel.
let's go back to Constitution Avenue. What a great way to tee it up with that.
Each year, the National Memorial Day Parade is led by the riderless horse. This is provided by the Military District of Washington, among the oldest of military traditions. The riderless horse, and notice the boots, they are reversed in the stirrups. It honors the fallen warrior who will never ride again. Today is all about the fallen.
And the riderless horse is a reminder to each of us of the true meaning of Memorial Day that you just heard from Colonel Friend and Joe Montana, honoring and remembering our fallen heroes.
Next up for us is the National Memorial Day Parade's Ceremonial Honor Guard, consisting of marching platoons from each branch of the armed forces. These platoons are under the order of Joint Force Headquarters, National Capital Region, Military District of Washington.
Hello, I'm Major General Michael Howard.
And I'm Command Sergeant Major Paul Biggs.
We are the Joint Force Headquarters, National Capital Region, and the United States Army Military District of Washington Command Team. On behalf of all the men and women in the U.S. Army and the entire Joint Force serving in the National Capital Region, I'd like to welcome everyone to Washington, D.C. and this year's National Memorial Day Parade.
Every Memorial Day is marked with solemn remembrance as we reflect on those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Additionally, this year we mark the 100th anniversary of the U.S. entering World War I and the 76th anniversary of the U.S. entering World War II.
Memorial Day is an opportunity to remember and honor all American service members, ordinary men and women performing their duty who died while in military service, and to reflect on what their sacrifice means to us, to our country, and to a world that still depends so much on America for leadership and security.
We vow that their sacrifices shall never be forgotten, and for those of us who continue to serve, we will honor these heroes' legacies by maintaining the eternal vigilance that has kept our country free for 241 years.
We are proud to represent our nation's military in today's parade and ask that on this special day you remember all of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen serving around the world, especially those serving in harm's way. Heed the Guardian.
Wonderful to hear from them. And joining us in this special opening tribute today are platoons from each branch of the armed forces, including the United States Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard.
In fact, here is the Army's famed Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps from the 3rd United States Infantry Regiment. They're appearing in uniforms that were patterned after those worn by musicians in George Washington's Continental Army, and I got to imagine they're a little warm today.
I'm sure they are humid, but no rain, so that's good. The United States Army Caisson Platoon is charged with the sacred duty of carrying America's departed to their final resting place in Arlington National Cemetery as part of full military honor funerals.
As you ever get out to Fort Myers, you watch the Old Guard. They train and train again. You know, as we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the United States Air Force, we are honored to welcome our special Grand Marshal. That's the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers.
There he is with his wife. He's an Air Force veteran of more than 40 years. And General Myers began his career as a combat pilot in Vietnam and then served as acting chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff during September 11, 2001. Currently, he is president of his alma mater, Kansas State University, and there he is with his wife, Mary Jo. A warm welcome to these true patriots.
Nice to have him here. And in fact, 2017 does mark the 70th anniversary of the United States Air Force. Before that, it was a part of the Army called the Army Air Corps. That's what it was. But here to help commemorate 70 years of service and sacrifice, we want to welcome the 70th anniversary Air Force Float, which is featuring active duty airmen. It's good to have him here.
It sure is. And on the 70th anniversary of the U.S. Air Force, we would like to salute all who have worn the uniform. As the song goes, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. I love that. And now let's go street side with our Kirsten Hagelin.
Thanks, Rita. I'm here with David Walker. He's the president and CEO of the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes. So, David, you have been supporting veterans since 2004. What does that support look like?
That support, it looks like $55 million plus to over 35,000 combat wounded veterans in the form of emergency financial aid.
Wow. And so tell us about Rob and the special presentation you have today.
Rob is a special hometown hero from Loudoun County who's building a house in Loudoun County after he gets married here this summer, and the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes is providing one of the largest installments for building that home, $25,000.
That is incredible. All right, Rob, how do you feel about this?
I just feel thankful to live in a country where there's so many people that are willing to give everything they have for what they believe in, and thankful that the country that I live in honors that sacrifice every day with organizations like the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes and events like this. And I just, in my daily life, I get told all the time how thankful people are for our veterans, so I just feel thankful.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rob. Congratulations on your marriage. Thank you, David. Back to you, Jonathan and Rita.
All right. Kirsten, thanks so much for that. Again, I can't stress enough what a great day it was. They had rain somewhere in the forecast. We have not seen it.
Of course not. It's a parade. You gotta have sunshine.
You can't have a parade without great bands. This is the hometown band from right here in D.C. Here comes the Frank W. Ballou Majestic Marching Knights.
I'm Clarinet Section Leader Kieva Burnett. And I'm Flag Captain Kaya Burnett. We are honored to serve as the only District of Columbia's marching band in the parade today. Today we honor those military veterans who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. It is our distinct honor to salute the brave men and women who have paved the path for our ultimate freedoms today.
And how about this? The Bellevue High School Marching Band, they traveled all the way from the state of Washington to perform for you today. Located near Seattle, their school hosts a comprehensive music program with 3 orchestras, 4 choirs, and get this, not 1, not 2, but 5 bands.
Absolutely, and you're also looking at pictures of TAPS. That is the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. And that's the beautiful flow for them with Robert Irvine also there, Chef Robert Irvine too, which is very cool to see them. And Bonnie Carroll, who is the head of TAPS. There he is, also a Navy veteran and one of the honored guests here today. So very neat to see him. Also the Robert Irvine Foundation providing transportation and lunch for many of the active duty service members today. So very, very neat to see them there on that float. They do so much for the survivors who lost loved ones in battle. They're the preeminent organization, and great to see them here.
It is so tough to deal with, especially with family members left behind, so it's good to have those kinds of groups.
Absolutely, and here, as you mentioned, this is the Bellevue High School Marching Band, and they traveled all over the place from the state of Washington to be here. The band has traveled both internationally and down the Pacific Coast, but this is their first time performing in the D.C. area, and what a great thing. They couldn't be more excited.
Hey, let's head back down now to Kirsten on the street. Hey, Kirsten.
Hi, guys. All right, it's a busy day at the parade here, but we've got Chef Robert Irvine, Food Network chef Bonnie Carroll of TAPS. So, Robert, you, everyone's very excited, right? You do so much to support our troops. What led to that?
Well, Gary Sinise is a huge impact in my life, being in the military. We do an awful lot with the Gary and an awful lot with Bonnie. I got to tell you what TAPS does. Tragedy Assistance Programs for our Gold Star families. And if you don't know what it is, find out about it, because we do amazing work. And what about TAPS? Happy Memorial Day, right?
Absolutely. And Bonnie, what does Memorial Day mean to you? Thank you for your great work.
This is the day we honor all those who have served and sacrificed. We have all the families of America's fallen heroes with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Bonnie, thank you, Chef. All right, we'll have more from the National Memorial Day Parade right after this.
Coming up, the parade begins a moving timeline of American military history. And later, performances from Daughtry, John Andrasik of Five for Fighting, and the USO Show Troupe.
Very strong words indeed. I better put that in front of me.
Yeah, why not?
Helps a little bit.
Hey, it's a parade. We're
Welcome
having
back.
fun watching.
Welcome back to Constitution Avenue.
And we would like to thank Johnson's Florist and Garden Centers for providing these stunning, beautiful floral arrangements right here in our booth, as well as our official print partner, Stars and Stripes, for printing today's great parade program.
You know, today's parade is all about, it's organized kind of as a moving timeline of American military history, honoring, of course, the fallen heroes from our beginnings all the way back to the current generation that has served in Afghanistan and continues to serve in Afghanistan in Iraq. We begin the timeline of our parade as we salute the heroes of the American Revolution. Now, the fifes, drums of Yorktown.
Generation after generation of Americans have been inspired by the story of George Washington's leadership through the War for Independence for more than 230 years.
And there they are. The Fifes and Drums of Yorktown was formed by the County of York for the 1976 American Bicentennial Celebration. Well, today, they continue their mission to recruit youth between the ages of 10 and 18, and they train them in 18th century field music.
Very cool. And a typical performance season consists of approximately 100 shows at various historic venues along the eastern seaboard. Members dress in period attire, and the senior corps wear the red regimental uniform, which is reminiscent of the uniform worn by the 18th century field musicians who served in the Continental Army in Yorktown, Virginia.
Well, next is a large replica of the original American flag that Betsy Ross created in Philadelphia. It was sponsored by VisitMyrtleBeach.com. It is being carried by student veterans of Brooklyn College and the City University of New York.
All right, I was born in Brooklyn, and legend has long had it that several members from the Continental Congress, including George Washington, asked her to sew the first American flag back in 1776. And the flag coming down the street is a replica of the Bennington flag, which is brought to you by Capital Caring. The actual relic flag is on display in Bennington, Vermont.
This is a big one. It measures 15 by 20 feet.
Wow.
It is among the most distinctive flags of the Revolutionary period. It has the 13 white and red stripes and an arc of 11 six-pointed stars and 2 additional stars in the upper corners. Within the arc is the number 76, referring to the year that the Declaration of Independence was adopted.
And Martha Washington traveled 16 miles from her beloved home at Mount Vernon to be here today. Very nice of her to do so. George and Martha Washington's Mount Vernon is the most popular historic site in America and welcomes guests 365 days a year. While visiting Mount Vernon, guests can also experience the Orientation Center and the Education Center, as well as an award-winning museum.
Martha Washington is joining us today thanks to the support of Fundraising Strategies. For more than 40 years, Fundraising Strategies has been committed to serving our nation's military and their families. If you've not been to Mount Vernon to see George Washington and Martha, you should definitely take the trip. Well worth the trip. All right, let's head back down to Constitution Avenue and talk to Kirsten. Hey.
Hey, Jonathan. Well, I'm here with Chief of Naval Operations Admiral John Richardson and Air Force Chief of Staff David Goldfein. Thank you both so much for being here. Admiral, we have tens of thousands of military men and women serving all over the globe, and there are even some in combat zones. What would you like to say to those men and women serving today?
Well, first, I'd like to say how proud and honored we are to be here representing them. And everything that we do really can't go far enough to pay the appropriate tribute to what they do every day. And as well, you know, what they are doing really, their every movement is to pay tribute to the legacy of those who have come before us, some of who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. So that's what I'd like to send out in terms of a message to all our people deployed around the world.
Such meaningful words. And General Goldfein, on behalf of our military, what would you like to say to families that are watching at home, everyday Americans? What would you like to say to them on this Memorial Day?
Well, you know, just to build on Admiral Richardson's point, you know, those of us who serve today enjoy the trust and confidence of a grateful nation, not only because of what we do today, but because of those who've gone before us. And this parade this weekend is about honoring them. And I'd also like to have a message to those who are thinking about possibly joining the military. You know, if you want to be part of something bigger than yourself, if you want to join the most incredible people that'll be working and serving on your right and your left, and if you want to be a better you, come join us. The nation's waiting.
Absolutely wise words. General, Admiral, thank you both so much. Back to you, Jonathan and Rita.
Kirsten, thanks very much. Coming up next for us is Terra Trike. This is the world's most comfortable recumbent trike. It is the proud sponsor of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, highly adaptable to people with all abilities and disabilities. Terra Trike's recumbent trikes are a great way to stay active and healthy.
Wow, so inspiring. And there it is. Our next float is sponsored by the Purple Heart Foundation. The Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration active in the United States today, and it is awarded to service members wounded or killed in service. The primary mission of the foundation is to serve the needs of the men and women of our armed forces. They provide assistance with traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress, and suicide prevention. For more information on ways that you can help, go to purpleheartfoundation.org. And what a group of heroes there, all waving.
Wonderful organization. I have a lot of friends with that organization. They do a lot of good work.
Absolutely.
All right, the Sons of the American Revolution is a very patriotic lineage society. Each of its members can trace its ancestry to one or more patriots of the American Revolution.
With more than 32,000 members in 500 chapters around the world, the SAR strives to commemorate and provide memorials for the people and events of the American Revolution.
Well, we should let you know we're just getting started here in D.C. We're going to be right back. But before we do, throughout the parade, we're going to be welcoming stars of music, television, and film with shout-outs to our troops we're calling Memorial Day Moments.
Hey, hello to the troops out there. This is Ray Romano. I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate everything you do. I have my father was a war vet. My brother was a New York City police officer. I have nothing but great respect for men and women who protect and serve our country and the people in it.
Hey y'all, Dirk Spentley here. Just want to send a message out to all the servicemen and women around the country, around the world that might be watching this, and just to say thank you guys so much for doing what you do. I love each and every one of you. I have so much respect for y'all. Appreciate the sacrifice that you guys are making for us, that your families are making for the rest of us. You know, just 1% of y'all are out there doing this for all of us. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great Memorial Day.
Hey, I'm Reba McEntire. To all our veterans and our currently active military folks, happy Memorial Day. Thank you so much for all you do for us. We love you with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Coming up live, the parade remembers the War of 1812 and the American Civil War, plus a performance from John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting.
Welcome back to our live coverage from Washington, D.C. You know, visit the American Veterans Center on Facebook and catch up with Kat Anderson for exclusive access to today's festivities as a second screen experience. And you can meet some of the American heroes enjoying the parade that are actually in the crowd today. And while you're there, like the American Veterans Center to stay up to date with this wonderful organization throughout the entire year.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of people to like. There are so many great heroes. We would also like to thank Leidos, which is a leading national security, civil, and health solutions company, for being one of the sponsors who provided lunch to get this to more than 1,000 active duty military personnel today. We also would like to thank Lyft for being a sponsor as well. And the parade continues as we remember the War of 1812. After watching the Americans withstand the deadly British siege of Baltimore, Francis Scott Key was inspired to write the poem Defense of Fort McHenry. Today it is better known as the Star-Spangled Banner.
Here's Andrew Jackson. You can never mistake Andrew. He was the 7th president of the United States. He won the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812. He was nicknamed Old Hickory for his bravery and success in battle. He also opened up the White House for people to come party with him after he won.
He's the most boisterous Jackson I've seen in a long time. Wow.
And he's also accompanied now by a 50-foot-long Star-Spangled Banner brought to you by the Veterans United Home Loans. Just after dawn, September 14th, 1814, the attacking British saw that American flag still flying over Fort McHenry in Baltimore, and the sight of that flag signaled that their attack had failed and that the Americans had won the battle.
Wow, what a beautiful shot. Well, the Veterans United Home Loans is dedicated to providing these deserving home buyers with the nation's leading home buying education and service.
Well, they sound terrific from the state of New York. Here is the Harrison High School Huskies marching band. Let's listen.
Welcome to the War of 1812 segment of our parade. I'm Drum Major Miwa Goebel.
I'm Concertmaster Eric Kopczynski. This military conflict lasted from June of 1812 to February of 1815.
The war was fought between the United States, United Kingdom, and its North American colonies and Native American allies.
Unfortunately, the nation's capital was severely damaged in this war following the burning of Washington.
The National Memorial Day Parade honors those who sacrificed in the Civil War. Brother fought brother in the bloodiest war in U.S. history, with more than 600,000 Americans, North and South, dying in the battle.
The next part of the parade is arriving, the Civil War, sponsored by Wells Fargo, and I would imagine that Abraham Lincoln would be a tip-off of it.
Yeah, I'd say that is. Well, few figures in American history are as recognizable as beloved Abraham Lincoln. For 4 years throughout the Civil War, President Lincoln devoted himself to preserving the Union and ending slavery. On April 14, 1865, with the war all but over, President Lincoln was assassinated just blocks from where we are right now, never able to enjoy the peace that he fought so hard to win.
And Whitney Lester is portraying President Lincoln, and his appearance is made possible by Military Times.
That does so much. Great to see that shot. And let's head now back down street side to our own Kirsten Haglund. Kirsten, who do you have?
Thank you, Rita. I am so honored to be standing here with the Medal of Honor for Valor winner in Vietnam, Gary Luttrell. Gary, as a recipient of our nation's military's highest honor, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
You know, on Memorial Day, I have three different thoughts. Number one, I remember my childhood when on Memorial Day we would walk through the park in my hometown, and I'd see the crosses of my uncles that died in World War II, in memory of them. And then later on, after my war, Memorial Day took on a more special meaning. I always look for a few minutes of quiet time to reflect on the very close, dear friends that I lost in Vietnam. And my third thought is now of our Gold Star children. You know, these children have paid the ultimate sacrifice along with their parents. The thought of a child losing a mother or father in combat is just something that's unbelievable. We can't do enough for them.
It's so true. And you're here in support of Snowball Express. Quickly tell us about that incredible program.
I am. I'm an ambassador to the Snowball Express. Snowball Express is where each year in December we bring approximately 2,000 Gold Star children in for a reunion and camaraderie. And it is it's so beneficial to them to know that they're not the only child that has lost a parent. And so when I talk to schools, you know, I have children come up and I lost my mommy and daddy, and I'm the only one in the class. When they meet other children, it eases the pain.
Amazing. Thank you, Gary, so much for your great work. Thank you for your service. All right, Jonathan and Rita, back to you.
All right, Kirsten, thanks so very much. And not only do we remember the fallen today, but we also remember their families as well.
Absolutely.
Snowball Express Children of Our Fallen, featuring Medal of Honor recipient Gary Luttrell, is brought to you by American Airlines. Snowball Express is dedicated to serving the children of our fallen heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice since September 11th, 2001. Well, on the float, those are several Gold Star children and families. Walking with the float are volunteers from American Airlines. It is so good to have them with us today.
Absolutely. American Airlines does so much for the families, and Snowball Express, what a great organization. The Medal of Honor, by the way, is also the highest award for valor in action against an enemy force, which can be bestowed upon an individual serving in the armed services of the United States. And by the way, my dear friend Gary Luttrell, who is that Medal of Honor recipient, serves as a national ambassador for Snowball Express. Good for him.
Well, now we're honored to welcome the Grand Marshals of the 2017 National Memorial Day Parade, acclaimed filmmakers Ken Burns and Lynn Novick. As you know, today's parade is a moving timeline of American history, and nobody's done more to share the stories of our shared history than Ken Burns, whose documentaries include Civil War, the Roosevelts, and The War, which told the story of World War II.
And Lynn Novick has won Emmy and Peabody Awards for her work and will partner with Ken on the upcoming documentary, The Vietnam War. Thank you to our Grand Marshals for your contributions to preserving our nation's history.
He does such great work.
Amazing. And in the aftermath of September 11th, Five for Fighting song Superman became an unexpected anthem, resonating with those who had suffered loss.
Well, on this Memorial Day, here to perform his Grammy-nominated hit, please welcome platinum-selling artist John Odrasik of Five for Fighting.
I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. I'm just out to find the better part of me. I'm more than a bird, more than a plane, more than some pretty face beside a train. And it's not easy to be wish that I could cry, fall upon my knees, find a way to lie, but a home I'll never see. It may sound absurd, but don't be naive. Even heroes have the right to bleed. I may be disturbed, won't you concede? Heroes have the right to dream. It's not easy to be me. And up and away from me, now it's alright. You can all sleep sound tonight. I'm not crazy or anything. I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. Man, we're meant to ride with clouds between their knees. I'm only a man, a funny red sheet, digging for kryptonite. On this one-way street, only a man, a funny red sheet, looking for special things inside of me. No, it's not easy to be me.
Beautiful to hear from John Ondrasik, and we'll be back with much more of the National Memorial Day Parade right after this.
Hi everybody, this is Toby Keith. To all who have served and are serving, most especially those who've lost a loved one in service to our country, we're thinking about you this Memorial Day. It's been my honor to meet so many of you over the years, and I can't thank you enough for your service and sacrifice.
Yo, what's up? This is Jack Black giving a big shout out to all the armed forces on this glorious Memorial Day. You guys give it all, you give it your all to protect this beautiful country that you love.
I'm Trace Atkins, and I am in Italy today, and standing here with some wonderful service people, and just want to say that Memorial Day is a huge event to me and to these folks, and we all remember what this holiday is about, what it stands for.
Hey y'all, it's Kid Rock here. Just want to say a happy Memorial Day, and once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. God bless you, stay safe, and know that most of us are in your corner. Have a great Memorial Day.
Coming up, the parade moves into the 20th century, and a performance by rock superstars Daughtry.
And welcome back. We would like to thank the American Veterans Center for organizing today's great parade. While most people may expect that such a huge event like this can only be pulled off by the military or the government, in reality, this parade is made possible through the hard work of a very small, private, non-profit foundation. They're amazing.
They do great work. If you want to learn more information or if you'd like to make a donation to help support the parade, please visit AmericanVeteransCenter.org. Now, for the last decade, maybe decade plus,
decade plus,
rock superstar Doherty, he has been among the biggest names in music. The band has enjoyed 4 #1 top 40 hits. He's earned 4 Grammy nominations. He's won 4 American Music Awards. Nicest guy in the world, just been very down to earth and humble.
Love him.
Here he is with one of those Grammy-nominated #1 hits, Home. Please welcome Daughtry.
Staring out into the night, I'm trying to hide the pain. Going to the place where love and feeling good don't ever cost a thing, and the pain you feel's a different kind of pain. Home to the place where I belong, where your love has always been enough for me. Yeah. I'm not running from no thing that got me all wrong. Don't regret this life I chose for me. Yeah. But these places and these faces are getting old. So these places and these faces are getting old. So I'm going home. I'm going home.
Daughtry's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And right behind him, here comes the famous Big Idaho potato truck. This thing's a runaway truck. The Truck and Tater team is on its 6th tour, traveling all over the country, spreading the word about heart-healthy Idaho potatoes and providing the local charities along the tour through their A Big Helping program, and that is one sizable potato there.
It sure is. This is their 3rd time participating in the parade. And joining them are veterans of the Special Forces Association National Capital Chapter. How fun.
You see a potato that size, you think to yourself, you're going to need a bigger truck.
Yeah, lots of starch. All right. Well, the 10-week Spanish-American War marked the United States' entry into world affairs. As the 19th century became the 20th century, the U.S. began to transform from a regional power to a global superpower.
Yeah, Theodore Roosevelt served as Secretary of the Navy prior to leading the 1st U.S. Volunteer Cavalry Regiment known as the Rough Riders. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor in 2001, the only U.S. president to receive the award.
And this is the 6th year that Arthur Tennyson Thompson has portrayed him. There he is. He joins us today thanks to the generous support of News Channel 8 in Washington, D.C.
My home.
You bet.
There you go.
Love seeing that old car. How beautiful. Coming down Constitution Avenue there. And the 1st U.S. Volunteer Cavalry Regiment, Rough Riders, there they are, was formed in 1978 to provide a living memorial to Colonel, later President Theodore Roosevelt and his gallant volunteer regiment. The 1,200 original Rough Riders camped in Tampa prior to leaving for the campaign in Cuba during the Spanish-American War in 1898.
And the modern-day Rough Riders, they work actively with the community in many areas. They provide humanitarian aid to underprivileged, orphaned, and handicapped children, and they also participate in educational programs and community events.
And it's the National Park Service, with more than 100 years of caring for America's most treasured places and honoring those who have served and those who have fallen on behalf of our nation.
Here are our hardworking National Mall and Memorial Parks staff, all of whom have proudly served in America's armed forces or are currently serving in the Guard and Reserve. And here's a message from Superintendent Gay Vitsky.
Welcome to the National Mall and Memorial Parks. Our brand new float celebrates the National Park Service Centennial and the many cultural and historical sites here in Washington, D.C. The float features the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and the African American Civil War Memorial. The National Park Service extends its thanks to all National Park Service staff, partners, and volunteers who have served. And we'd like to recognize those members and former members of the armed forces who now help care for America's most special places.
They look fantastic. Please welcome to Big Stone Gap, Virginia, the Union High School Marching Band. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. I'm Field Commander Cassidy Holcomb.
And I am Field Commander Ken Vo. We are honored to be marching in the Spanish-American War segment of the parade.
This conflict was fought between Spain and the United States in 1898, where battles ensued in Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Philippines, and Guam.
This conflict in 1898 then led to the outbreak of the Philippine-American War.
Black troops, led by the white officers, the Buffalo Soldiers, served in the harshest of conditions. When the Plains Indians first saw the black troopers in their great coats, the Cheyenne Indians actually called them wild buffaloes. Well, they served with distinction, displaying valor in every theater, earning them 14 Medals of Honor during the Indian Wars.
And the Buffalo Soldiers were awarded 4 Medals of Honor during the Spanish-American War and the famous Charge Up San Juan Hill with Teddy Roosevelt.
Now, the National Moment of Remembrance was established by Congress. It asks all Americans, wherever they are at this time, just to pause for a moment in an act of national unity.
And right now, the National Memorial Day Parade will participate in that solemn and very important moment, coming to a complete stop while taps will be played in honor of all who have sacrificed their lives. Wherever you are, we ask that you please join us in this very important moment.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed.
That was amazing. Taps was played by Staff Sergeant Ramos from the United States Army Band, Pershing Zone.
Absolutely, and singing Amazing Grace, that beautiful rendition, was Master Sergeant Antonio Giuliano, and he is from the United States Army Chorus. And we're going to be back with a lot more parade coverage.
But before we go, we're going to present a message from Robert Agostinelli, the chairman of our Friends of the National Memorial Day Parade.
My fellow citizens, on this day, we are humbled to honor all those who have served the Republic in the defense of freedom. From Valley Forge, Iraq, and Afghanistan, our valiant troops have stood tall. The United States is indeed an exceptional nation, and our military, the purest and bravest of us all. President Kennedy once said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors." Today we honor and remember the best this nation has ever produced, our heroes who have sacrificed all to defend freedom. God bless them all, and thank you.
Next up, live from Washington, D.C., the parade salutes America's greatest generation.
Welcome back to our coverage of the American Veterans Center's National Memorial Day Parade. You can visit the American Veterans Center on Facebook. You can also catch up with Kat Anderson for exclusive access for today's festivities. Also, you can meet some of the American heroes that are in the crowd today enjoying this parade. And while you're there, like the American Veterans Center to stay up to date with this wonderful organization throughout the year.
And they do a lot. And it is brought to you also by military.com. The National Memorial Day Parade honors those who served in the Great War, World War I. More than 116,000 Americans died in service during the First World War, in what we all hoped would be the war to end all wars. However, lingering resentments led to the rise of Nazi Germany and eventually World War II.
Well, we are honored to have join us now the Grand Marshals of today's parade, acclaimed documentary filmmakers. You almost don't need an introduction. It's Ken Burns and Lynn Novick.
So great to have both of you here. Lynn, I got to start with you. You two have been working together since, what, 1989?
1989.
Long time, longer than your marriages, probably, right? Okay.
Most definitely.
So given that, you are now doing an amazing documentary with Ken Lynn, and it's 18 hours, right?
10 parts, 18 hours,
Amazing, and it's airing this fall. It's called The Vietnam War. What inspired you, first of all, to touch this? It's a very sort of raw part of history. What inspired you to get involved in this?
Indeed, that's exactly right. We felt that this is the most important event in American history since the Second World War. It's also the most painful and the most misunderstood. We don't like to talk about it. It's very upsetting, it's disturbing, and we don't know enough about it. And we felt that if we could take the time it needed, which is 10 years actually since we started the project, to go back to the beginning and unpack it and hear about what happened from every possible side of Americans who fought in it and who fought against it, Vietnamese on the winning side in North Vietnam and on the losing side in South Vietnam, and try to just understand what really happened and why it turned out the way it did. We hoped our country could now have a different kind of conversation about this really painful chapter in our history.
Ken, you've done so much with the documentaries you put together to start a dialogue, to start a conversation, but it's an educational tool as well. There are so many young people out there when they see your work. What is it you hope that they see, and most importantly, what is the one piece of work, the body of work you've done that you say, that's my best?
I've spent my entire professional life with public broadcasting because it's the only place that would give us the time, 10 years, to tell the story correctly. And you go in with some preconceptions, as we all have, say, particularly about Vietnam, and you have those preconceptions exploded. And the great thing I like is sharing with people our process of discovery. And so that's a broad national audience beginning September 17th. But after that, then it'll go into schools and be used in colleges and high schools for years and years and years to come. Today isn't a school day in America, but if it was, PBS estimates that hundreds of classrooms are using our 28-year-old film on the Civil War as a course thing. I find that wars are the most effective way to teach American history. It's not because of the violence, it's because they reveal both the best of us and the worst of us. You can see instances of heroism and fellowship, of love, of bravery, of the worst of us, but they tell us who we are. And so there's no favorite film, there's just the chance to ask in the next film the question. And remember, this isn't homework. We're not telling you what you should know. We're sharing with you what we've discovered. And I bet in every moment of the film Vietnam, you'll go, I lived through it, but I had no idea.
Right. Well, we can't wait to see it.
I can't wait for you to see it.
Both of you, thank you for your great work through the years. And again, it's on PBS this fall. Thank you so much.
More than inspiring.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank
you, John.
It's an honor to have
great to be
you.
with you.
Thank
And
you.
it's such an honor for us to be Grand Marshals of this parade.
Thank
It's
you.
so amazing.
Well deserved, both of you. Well deserved.
All right, guys, thanks so much. All right, let's get back down to the parade. This next float comes to us from the Lions Club of Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Founded 100 years ago in 1917, Lions Clubs International now operates in over 200 countries or geographic areas around the world.
And this year's float proudly honors the 100-year tradition of community service and will proudly display the theme New Mountains to Climb to represent the goals of Lions worldwide.
By the way, riding on the float is our current Miss America, Savvy Shields of Fayetteville. Absolutely gorgeous. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Savvy represents the Miss America organization on a national tour, speaking to audiences and serving as a positive role model.
And we would also like to thank the many veterans you see in today's parade. They have come courtesy of American Airlines, the National Memorial Day Parade's official airline. Thank you, American Airlines, which does so much for your support of the parade and always for our military heroes. They support them year-round.
All right, you can hear them. Here they come, the Orange Panther Regiment from Central North Carolina. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon. I'm Drum Major Amy Bertner.
And I am Junior Drumline Member Malcolm McKinley. World War I was a global war that originated in Europe.
It lasted from July 28, 1914 to November 11, 1918, where over 750 U.S. soldiers lost their lives and over 400 are still missing to this day.
Our hats go off to the soldiers in World War I that resulted in the demise of the German, Russian, and Ottoman empires.
The National Memorial Day Parade honors those who served in World War II. 16 million Americans served and more than 400,000 died, making it truly the defining moment of the 20th century.
All right, I am honored to be here with retired Sergeant First Class Mike Schlitz. Mike, you were the only member of your convoy to survive the attack on your vehicle. I imagine that this Memorial Day means a lot to you.
Absolutely. You know, for me, it's a day of reflection. It's a day of remembrance, not for just my guys like Corporal Lauren Henry, who is my driver, Sergeant Susenko, who is my gunner, Sergeant Cadavero, who is my medic that I lost, but the generations and generations of the men and women who fought courageously and paid the ultimate sacrifice. You know, today's a day about honoring their names and their memories and telling their stories.
Absolutely. And so what can families at home do to support those who are fighting abroad?
You know, there's a lot of great organizations nationwide, but I have to tell people, look in your local communities. Find out who's helping veterans and our Gold Star families in the local community. Get involved. Donate your time, donate resources, but, you know, do your due diligence to do a little research, because not all organizations are great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and have a blessed Memorial Day.
You as well. All right, back to you, Jonathan and Rita.
And the Spirit of Liberty Foundation is carrying the oldest living Pearl Harbor survivor, 105-year-old Ray Chavez. With him is America's Freedom Bell made of 330 pounds of bronze, as well as iron from the fallen World Trade Center.
So great having him here. Also riding on the float is singer-songwriter, amazing winning singer-songwriter, Tomacek Bednarik. He is performing his song, American Heroes.
Yes, he is, and if we could, let's listen in to Tomacek Bednarik.
All right, here's the Mega Gold Star flag that's being carried by Army Survivor Outreach Services, which is made up of mothers whose children died while in military service or died as a result of that service or are missing in action.
And here's a little bit of Tomacek Bednarik singing in the parade. There he is. And you can see them marching there, Tomacek Bednarik in the background. Here is the South Dakota State University Pride of the Dakotas Marching Band, one of the largest and most visible organizations on campus.
Today, U-Haul continues its support of our veterans and troops by showcasing the 5 branches of our armed services on the sides of the U-Haul trucks. You see them when you drive down the road. Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines, and Coast Guard. U-Haul is committed to serving our veterans by giving them priority in their hiring process.
And U-Haul is once again honored to be a sponsor of the parade and to be able to remind the public about the true meaning of Memorial Day, to honor and remember all the men and women who have given so selflessly for our freedom and to honor the families that they left behind. And with us now are approximately 300 youth volunteers carrying poster photos of Americans who lost their lives serving in uniform in World War II, including a cross-section of gold stars from Pearl Harbor, all 17 of the Doolittle Raiders and the 86 Tuskegee Airmen who were killed in action in the war. So powerful to see that.
Well, stay with us. We'll be back with more of our parade coverage right after this.
Coming up live from Constitution Avenue, we honor the fallen of the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and a performance from Nashville recording artist Tom Dixon.
And welcome back, everybody. Good to have you along. Here comes a living piece of American history. It's the Wells Fargo Stagecoach with David Helmuth handling the ribbons. Before railroads crossed the nation, stagecoaches are what connected communities on the east coast all across to the west.
And for more than 160 years, Wells Fargo has helped diverse communities and customers succeed financially and get to where they needed to go.
And our next performer is a Nashville songwriter and recording artist. He grew up as the son of a 24-year Naval Reserve father who served in Vietnam, and now singing one of his songs that he wrote. Please welcome Tom Dixon.
Sorry.
If I knew tonight, tomorrow you'll be gone, I'd still take the chains and names all night long. If all we have is all we've got till last call, I'd still drink you up until I fall. Maybe it's the perfume that you're wearing that's got me turned on. Maybe it's the corner jukebox blaring that old Keith Whitley song. Maybe it's the whiskey that gets me thinking I could take on the world. It makes me think that I could keep you, girl.
Killing. More than 36,000 Americans died during service in the Korean War, often called the Forgotten War. Today, veterans refer to Korea as the Forgotten Victory, with the economic success of South Korea. And we continue here on the parade. This horse represents Sergeant Reckless, America's greatest war horse and Korean War hero. Wearing an authentic blanket of the one worn by Sergeant Reckless when she landed in America in 1954, complete with her ribbons, she is led by a Marine in 1950s uniform.
Sergeant Reckless carried ammunition for American troops during the Korean War. She wasn't a horse, she was a Marine.
And once known as the Forgotten War, the Korean War, and also the veterans who served, never received the attention nor the thanks for their service to their country. Today we have with us Korean and Korean American war veterans who have traveled from all over the U.S. to be with us today to participate in this very special parade. We thank you all for your service.
Now, the Korean American Association of Washington Metropolitan Area It is an organization comprised of volunteers and members of the Korean American community, residing in the D.C., Virginia, and Maryland metropolitan areas.
The organization represents over 250,000 Korean Americans and engages in activities to promote unity, fellowship, community participation, and Korean culture to the greater community. And some beautiful uniforms there, beautiful attire and costumes there.
And the sign, "Thank you, America. We're here because of your sacrifice."
How
Thank you for
beautiful
being
to see.
nice
How
message.
wonderful. It's a great reminder of what we do throughout the world. Well, it's the Central High School Marching Rockets Big Blue Band of Pride from the community of Burlington, Illinois.
Hello, I am drum major Nirali Thacker.
And I'm band manager Anthony Albamani. We are honored to salute the men and women who gave their lives during the Vietnam War.
The war was fought in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia and resulted in over 58,000 American casualties.
Washington, D.C. is home to the amazing Vietnam Memorial built in 1982.
Well, as we commemorate the continued 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, we present our next float featuring decorated veterans of the Vietnam War. Hold that thought.
As we continue, the National Memorial Day Parade pays tribute to those who served in Vietnam.
Try that again. As we commemorate the continued 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War,
And there's that float that you've been talking about.
I have. It's the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. We present our next float featuring decorated veterans of Vietnam, and among them is the only Air Force ace pilot of the Vietnam War, Brigadier General Steve Ritchie.
There he is in full uniform. You can't miss him. As of today, there are 58,307 names on the Vietnam Wall, honoring those who never came home. Those heroes who did come home were never greeted with the welcome or the parades that they so richly deserved. And to our Vietnam veterans and great heroes like General Ritchie, who you see there, and his wife Mariana, thank you for your service, and everybody, welcome home.
Absolutely. The North Carolina Vietnam Helicopter Pilots Association, founded in 1989, and here on the parade route today are helicopters from the Vietnam era. All the members were pilots. They flew helicopters in Vietnam, and these pilots in the parade have a combined of over 20,000 hours of combat flying time.
And now let's head to Constitution Avenue and our own Kirsten Haglin. Kirsten.
Thank you, Rita. I am here with a former Joint Chiefs of Staff, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers. As our nation's senior military officer, Memorial Day must have had an extraordinary meaning for you. What does this day mean?
It did, particularly after 9/11. I was a chairman 20 days after 9/11, and of course it had a really deep meaning at that time, because we had all these men and women willing to go serve their country and try to make us safe, and it was a very emotional time, and meant Memorial Day was even more important.
Absolutely, and so many of those military men and women are watching this parade from all over the globe on the American Forces Network. What would you like to say to them?
Well, as a retired person now, to just thank them for being willing to give up some of their security for our security and everybody else here in this land. You know, a very small percentage of our population serves in the military, and I'm just so grateful that we have people, men and women, willing to do that. My salute to them.
Wise words. Thank you so much, General. Thank you for your service.
Coming up live from Washington, D.C., a salute to the generation who served in the Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm.
ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone. I was born by God's dear grace in an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. There's a lady that stands in the harbor for what we believe. And there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free.
Well, it ain't the only place on earth.
Ain't the only place,
but it's the only place that I prefer.
place that I prefer.
Well, if you got pride and you're proud, you do.
Yeah, we could use some more like me and you. With the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. With stars and stripes and the eagle fly.
And I'm Rita Cosby, back here in Washington, D.C., along with Jonathan Alliance. So great to be with you. Thank you to the USO show troop. They were awesome.
They sound fantastic. You know, the National Memorial Day Parade salutes those who served in the Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm as well.
The Gulf War, known as Operation Desert Storm, brought together the largest coalition of countries since World War II. It proved the most decisive victory in modern warfare.
And this next float commemorates the 26th anniversary of the Gulf War. It is brought to us by the state of Kuwait. Among the parade's earliest supporters, the people of Kuwait, they wish to convey their deep appreciation for those who served and those who fell in the fight to liberate their country.
And on behalf of the people of Kuwait, we have the following message from the ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Salam Al-Sabah.
The very special relationship between Kuwait and the U.S. Armed Forces was forged and actually cemented during the first Gulf War. In 1990 and 91, we Kuwaitis watched in amazement and admiration as the U.S. Armed Forces put themselves in harm's way to liberate my country. And ever since that day, we've had a very special place in our hearts and our minds for the U.S. Armed Forces. And that's why we are present at Memorial Day with our float, and we will always be there to say thank you.
That's nice to have them here. In 1991, more than 600,000 Americans returned home from the service in the Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm.
And here are members from the National Desert Storm War Memorial Association. They support the men and women who gave all for our great nation while defending the people of Kuwait during Operation Desert Shield and Storm.
We're going to take a quick break now. To learn more about the National Desert Storm War Memorial, visit ndswm.org. Back right after this.
Hey everybody, this is Conan O'Brien. I want to send this message out to all who have served, are currently serving, and most especially those of you who have lost a loved one in service to our country. I want you to know we're thinking about you on this Memorial Day. It has been my incredible honor to meet so many of you over the years. I've done a couple of USO shows, and they have been the personal highlight of my entire career. And I cannot thank you enough for your service and your sacrifice.
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Jason Aldean, and I just want to give my thanks to the men and women of our armed forces and their families for your bravery, strength, and service.
Hey everybody, I'm Mark Crist. And I'm Tommy Boschers with Power Nation's Detroit Muscle.
Memorial Day is our opportunity to remember and honor the men and women who have lost their lives serving this great country.
And our hearts go out to their family, friends, and community.
Coming up live, the parade's grand finale. Hundreds of uniformed troops in a final salute to those who have sacrificed on the front lines today.
And everybody, welcome back to the National Memorial Day Parade.
Our parade timeline now continues. And for the parade's final salute, led by
1.3 million Americans serve in our military today. Since 9/11, almost 7,000 have made the ultimate sacrifice. Today's military continues the tradition of honor and excellence seen throughout our country's history.
It is our parade's final salute, led by active duty service personnel from the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Army Reserves, Naval Reserves, and Army National Guard.
We are especially proud and honored to welcome home many of these troops who have just returned from deployment overseas. Look how powerful, all of them saluting there.
These soldiers, sailors, airmen marching today in honor of the more than 6,700 service members who have died while serving in Afghanistan, Iraq, and current operations all over the world.
And everybody stay with us. We will be right back.
We'll be back for more Parade live from Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C.
Well, it is that time. Thank you all for watching today. We'd like to thank all of the veterans, parade marchers, and volunteers, and this is a day to remember the fallen.
Absolutely, and a special thank you to the American Veterans Center and all of our sponsors. Kirsten.
It's been an incredible day full of inspirational stories. I was honored to be here. Happy Memorial Day. Back to you.
Thank you very much. And to those of you serving in harm's way, stay safe, and also thank you for your service. And I believe that Memorial Day should be every day. We've been honored to be with you for this broadcast.
No question about it. We'll see you again next year here on Constitution Avenue. However you spend this day, take a few minutes to reflect on all of those who have given you the freedoms you enjoy today, to say thank you. And to the families of those that have lost loved ones, we thank you as well.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Memorial Day, and God bless our troops wherever you are stationed throughout the globe. It's been wonderful and a true honor for us to be with you.
Goodbye, everybody.